Hello, welcome back to art class. I'm Mr. Lee, in for Miss Jensen. We are going to be talking about graffiti today. I'm sure most of you have seen graffiti around town. Sometimes it's just squiggle marks on a sign, or sometimes it's really big things like this. And we're going to talk a little bit about the stylized way of writing. Like this says street art, but you can see the A is really stylized and it's really exaggerated. And we're going to do a little bit of that. I just have a few examples. Like we'll do letters, something like this, where they're letters and you can read it, but it's still really kind of exaggerated. And if we were in class, we could have a good conversation about whether or not you think graffiti is vandalism. Vandalism is where you wreck somebody's property that's not yours. Some people look at graffiti as just being illegal and it should always be punished. Other people think of it as art and think that it's something that should be encouraged. Probably the most famous graffiti artist right now is somebody named Banksy. No one knows who the person is. This is a really famous painting he did on the side of somebody's wall. It's like somebody throwing flowers. This is the other really famous of this girl in a heart balloon. And he's gotten so popular that people will, when he puts up, we think it's a he. When he puts up something, people will try to buy the wall that the painting is on, and then they'll put him in museums and stuff. And this is just this is a current piece of graffiti that someone put up because of all the stuff that's going on right now, honoring the doctors and nurses and health providers. Somebody put up another example of graffiti. It's not always just letters and stuff. So what we're going to do is do a fairly simple example of just writing our name and then trying to stylize the letters, and we'll maybe do a backdrop. And again, do it with whatever you have at your house. If you have just pencils, do it in pencil. Try to do some shading. If you have crayons, markers, colored pencils, use whatever you have. For the first part, it would be really important to use a pencil because we're gonna do a few things and then we're gonna erase it eventually. So let's get to it. All right, here's a really easy example of what we're gonna be doing. You can kind of choose which shape you would like. This is just an easy example of an A. You start with the A, and then around this line, you go and you really lightly with pencil draw a shape that corresponds to that line. So you do each one. Then the next phase is to exaggerate this shape. So like they made this end bigger, and then once you have the basic shape, you will outline what you have and erase all this stuff. And then ideally at the end, we will do some shadowing so it makes it look like it's more 3D and popping. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try and do something on a background. So we will do something, we're gonna try and, you can cut out your name. Here it says Nicole. And we're gonna try and make a background so it looks like a wall or something, that's already been graffitied, it has paint on it. And then hopefully it'll look something like this. Instead of just putting it on a white sheet of paper, we'll have this to go on. So let's get started. We're not gonna do every single step for you, but we're gonna do our best. I'm gonna do my last name, which is Lee. And one of the things with these is a lot of times the letters overlap. So I'm gonna do something like that, something like that. And I think I'm going to do the more squared off shapes. Let's see. So I'm going to look at this letter, or this part of the letter right here. And I'll look at this as separate. So it kind of sticks out. So I'm going to do that for each one. My name's a little different here because it's all straight letters, so the rounded letters will be a little bit different. But basically, you're just taking this one line and making it thicker. Think of it like you're making a piece of wood that's that big. Or if you're doing the rounded, it's like a balloon. And one thing too, so you can see I'm just kind of making it up as I go. And then I'm going to go back and kind of exaggerate these even a little more. And one thing you want to think of is this letter is the closest to you, and this one goes next, and then this one, see how it's going over this one? So you think of them stacked like this, okay? So L is on top, E, and then E down below. So now I'm going to exaggerate it a little. So I might make this like really wide at the top. Maybe stick it out a little on the bottom. Same with this. Make sure you can see. You really want to be able to still see what it says. You don't want to make them so exaggerated that you can't tell what you're writing. This one's already kind of exaggerated. I kind of like that. I want to keep the shape of the E, so I think I'm going to mostly do the sideways parts. Stick those. And the more you do this, the more you can kind of develop a style that you like. Because you will notice if you ever look at certain graffiti people, like I kind of like that. They tend to have their own style and they make their own letter shapes, and I'm going to keep this relatively simple. Okay, I kind of changed it there at the end. So now I'm going to take a marker. Let's see. I have access to all of Miss Jensen's awesome markers here, so I'm kind of lucky. So now I'm going to outline the outsidemost shape, if that makes sense. So hopefully you'll be able to tell. So remember the L is on the outside. Like I said, we're only doing the outside part of the shape. So all this stuff we're going to erase eventually. And we're going to do that to each one of these. So this is where you kind of make your final decisions about where you want it to be. Remember, this is going over that E. Our final E. almost done. And there we have it. There's my name. The next thing we want to do is try to shade in the edges a little bit. And so you can either pick like this, the sun is coming from this way, so the shade will be over here, or the sun's coming this way and the shade will be on this side. I'm gonna pick the sun is over here, so the shade will be on this side. So I'm gonna try and do so it'd only be the vertical lines that are getting the shade. I'm not going to spend time making it absolutely perfect, but just so enough so you can see. So anything that's going up and down will get a little bit of the shading. And these are, I have friends and other teachers in the school I've seen do it. Oh, my hand's kind of smudging it a little bit. You know, it's just something kind of fun to do because you can be really creative. You can make the letters however you want. I think that's it. And, you know, you can start to make them as crazy as you want. So the next and I think last thing, so what we would do in class is we would now go through, once this dries, erase all these pencils like this. And then we would cut this out. And you want it to all be, that's why I have it touching, you know, so it's all one piece. It's not like the letter L, a letter E, and a letter E. So next we're gonna quickly try to do the background that our name is gonna, we're gonna cut this out, and then we're gonna place it onto a background. Like I said before, we don't want to have just a white sheet of paper. So we wanna texturize it some. So anything that you have around the house that is flat but also has a texture to it, you can put the paper over. And I have a couple colors here. And I thought you could even, if you have a junk piece of paper sitting around, you could try to put that down. If your paper's thin enough, it might help make it texturize some. Yeah, you can see a little of it there. You can do anything you want. The example we had earlier was a little bit like it's like a wall in a city that you would put graffiti on. And then you can take whatever you want. You can make it look like it's there's bricks. Other people came and put the other kind of graffiti on it that's just like squiggle marks. Use pencil. Whatever you want to do. And then I'm not going to do it now just for time's sake. So then the last stage is you would cut this out and then glue it to this. And then you will have your tag, which is called your name in graffiti. So I hope this makes sense, and I would like to see the finished products if I can. Good luck.